Watagwan. Like, share, subscribe, Cash App. You know what it is. Yeah, it's Nappy Yankee. I just wanted to go, just want to speak about, everything that happened post Super Bowl. And unfortunately, the Buccaneers won, which means Brady won. And of course, they had to give him another MVP, which, I know he threw a couple of passes, but he barely went over 200 yards. Fournette was basically giving him tons of yardage because Kansas City couldn't stop the run. And of course, as far as the Chiefs are concerned, the Chiefs missing a bunch of offensive linemen. Mahomes was running for his life. And also the Chiefs had a big distraction. Andy Reid's son. Both of his sons. Let's gonna keep it a buck. Both of them were just bums. One of them unfortunately died of an overdose, and this guy right here decided to drink and drive and basically put a kid in a life-threatening position. Don't tell me that wasn't a distraction. Okay, whenever you have a big game like this and you have a distraction like this, whether it's you've seen it with Eugene Robinson, Stanley Wilson, Barrett Robbins back in the other Tampa Bay Super Bowl against the Raiders, and it's a distraction. They can say what they want, and it just doesn't all led up to disaster. And plus, Tampa Bay's defense was disrespected. It's Devin White. And check out that interview. They were completely disrespected, and they showed up and gave Mahomes and company that work. And listen, I want one thing about Tampa Bay, because I wanted them to lose so badly, because I just can't take the just cyber slurping and who knows whatever type of slurping of Tom Brady. But looking at that team, they got a bunch of real G's on that team. Real riders in that team. Go check out Devin White's interview after the game, and I only wanted them to win based on two people I was rooting for, and that was Todd Bowles and Jason Pierre-Paul, the ex-Giant. All right, that was the only reason on the standpoint I wanted the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win. Otherwise, most of those dudes I didn't even know. But yeah, they got a bunch of riders in that team, so I guess I just got to give and take, because again, I can't take Tom Brady. I can't. And obviously, once he won, once they gave him that MVP, all the talk about him being the GOAT. For those who follow sports like I do, some of you don't follow sports and you just see all the cyber slurping. Listen, Tom Brady is not the greatest that ever did it. He just isn't. Okay? The greatest that ever did it in the National Football League was a guy by the name of Jim Brown. Okay? Jim Brown retired after 9 seasons. Okay? So that's the only way we can compare a Jim Brown and a Tom Brady. All right? Tom Brady throughout 9 seasons, he won 1 MVP. Jim Brown won 3. Tom Brady won 2 championships. Jim Brown won 1. Okay? Tom Brady threw for 30,000 yards in 9 seasons. Jim Brown ran for 12,000 plus yards, an average of 5 yards per carry. And the big difference between the two, unlike Brady, there are no cheating scandals. No cameras looking at the other team's play calling and plays, like Belichick did. I'm not saying Brady was in the room, but he benefited from it. If Brady and Belichick were black, there would be so many asterisks in their records, it wouldn't even be funny. Okay? On top of that, Jim Brown was dealing with racism, fighting civil rights back then. I know Jim Brown's a big old coon now, and he's just a broken buck and all that other stuff right now, and he is. But he had all of that on his plate, and Tom Brady was the golden boy. Okay? Tom Brady's not the GOAT. And not just in the league, because they're trying to compare it to Jordan. No, he's not. Or they're trying to compare it to LeBron. You know what? And I listen, I'm not just hating because Tom Brady does win. I'm not going to say this dude doesn't want to win, doesn't work hard, or what have you. He wins. Tom Brady is one of these athletes that as soon as he gets in the league, he kind of steps in it. Tom Brady gets in the league. The second year he wins a championship, wins three out of four out the gate. Derek Jeter, same thing. As soon as he gets in the league, within 2 years, wins 4 championships in 5 years. Kind of steps in it, right? He's when he hits his 3,000th hit, he hits a home run, walk-off home run. It's just some of these guys are blessed. Magic Johnson, same thing. As soon as he steps in the league, 2 championships in 3 years. It's just what it is. Where Michael Jordan, it took him 7 years to win his first championship before he hit that dynasty. So there are just some players that just happen to step into it as soon as they get into the league. It's just that's what Tom Brady is. But to call him the greatest that ever did it, guys, I can't take it. But part of it is because, understand, we are in a white hegemonic system. And he has the look, and he has the temperament, and he has the face, and they try to turn this guy into this golden boy, and they did. Okay, matter of fact, and this is just off the cuff. Sometime back, in Sports Illustrated did this. They did this survey in Boston on who were the most popular athletes in Boston. And obviously, who are the most popular greats in Boston? And obviously, Larry Bird was up there. Okay, he had a good percentage. He's in basketball. You had Ted Williams, who's in baseball. I think he was like right after Larry Bird. Then Bobby, I think his name is Bobby Orr. He's in hockey. I don't follow hockey that much. The man who had 2%. Who only had 2% of the votes of the greatest athletes in Boston history. Only the guy who won 11 titles in 12 years, Bill Russell. That man was the greatest winner, maybe in sports history, and Boston was like, this was under a guy like Ted Williams who won nothing. And in that one World Series he was in, he did nothing. So when you're white, let's not play games with this. Okay? You have a lot of benefits, so it's not just talent. Your whiteness takes you far. All right? Now, why do I bring all this up? Because I read an article that kind of ties in to just that in a way where it's like black men are just running in circles here. We're running in circles and we think we're making progress. All right. And by the way, yesterday a lot of people were kind of criticizing, some people criticizing online, like, I call them conscious snobs. Black people who are like sticking their chest out because they don't watch the Super Bowl. What are you watching the Super Bowl for? It's a distraction, right? It's a distraction, brother. They just trying to use this to take your mind on what's really going on. First of all, if something like this is going to cause such a distraction to the point where, you can't even look at it once, or else you're going to be put back into some sort of trance. You're not as conscious as you claim to be. Okay? When you look at these things, you're supposed to look at it in a certain way and kind of, in other words, most people are watching pop culture. They're watching sports. They're watching it, arguing over it, who's dating who just broke up, silly stuff like that. You're supposed to look at stuff like that with a different eye and assess it based on how it affects you in this white hegemonic system. That's what you're supposed to do. If I'm watching sports, yes, relaxing and what have you, but I don't sit down and go over stats and that. I'm not going to argue the person getting a fisticuffs over a person because, LeBron is better than Jordan or whatever. I'm like, they're good players or what have you. But but there's certain things that come up where you're supposed to say, wait a minute. Look at how this is affecting black people. There was an article yesterday, okay, regarding Tampa Bay's coaches. Actually, this was in the Undefeated, okay? And it turns out Tampa Bay, and I didn't know this, like I said, Tampa Bay got a lot of riders in there. I knew that Bruce Arians, the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, took in Todd Bowles as his defensive coordinator. And I heard that Byron Leftwich was his offensive coordinator. I didn't know that his whole staff was basically black. All the top guys are black. As a matter of fact, and I'll show the picture in here as well. I mean, just the whole staff is black. And he has some women on his staff too. I did not know this. This man has maybe had one of the most diverse staffs in the league. And Bruce Arians, by the way, he's one of these white guys who's, very laid back. I don't know if he's liberal or conservative. I mean, sometimes there are these guys who, they're white guys and they seem cool, and mess around, he might have been voted for Trump. I don't know. But he just seems like one of these guys laid back. When you see him in the press conference, he got the Kango on and stuff, and he just seems like a guy who, I'm not going to say he doesn't have a racist bone in his body, but he's just, he sees people as people. He obviously benefits as a white man. You're going to benefit from this racist system because it's just how it's set up. But he sees people as people, and he's clearly gave a bunch of black people an opportunity, and that's good. But here's the problem, though. Okay, and I'll read it from this article from the Undefeated. I'll put it in the description. It's called Todd Bowles and Byron Leftwich. Super Bowl victory is a big win for black coaches. That's a problem right there. And let me tell you why. I'm not going to read the whole article, but I'll read good parts of it. And it says, as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers dismantled the Kansas City Chiefs in Super Bowl 55 on Sunday, Byron Leftwich and Todd Bowles, the Buccaneers' offensive and defensive coordinators, respectively, remained in the spotlight all night. And yes, head coach Bruce Arians received the majority of the credit, and deservedly so, for the Buccaneers' surprising 31-9 upset victory. But the two black men whom Arians empowered to lead the NFC champions' offense and defense also earned a bunch of attaboys. Make no mistake, Bowles and Leftwich played major roles in planning and executing a party that continued deep into the night at Raymond James Stadium. Then it goes on and says, for coordinators, Leftwich and Bowles delivered virtuoso performances in the Super Bowl that should elevate them to the top of the list during the next cycle. Again, this is problematic because if they were so good, why weren't they even looked at during this cycle? See, and let me just stop there for a second. See, here's why this article is problematic, and this article is written by a brother too. They're saying that the article is Super Bowl victory is a big win for black coaches. Here's the problem. It is 2021, right? These are two assistant coaches. How is this a big win all of a sudden for black coaches, where in 2006 you actually had two black head coaches coaching in a Super Bowl? If this is such a big win, what was that? What was that? Just a while back, there was during that Super Bowl, it's funny, there was a FRITO-LAY's commercial, a FRITO-LAY spot. It's called This Is History. And it focused on basically the two black coaches in the Super Bowl. So it was Lovie Smith of the Chicago Bears facing off Tony Dungy. Yes, some people may not think Tony Dungy's black enough. He's fair-skinned. He's melanated. He's black. Okay? He's black for this purpose. But basically it says, the commercial said, meaning Coach Lovie Smith's Bears were facing off against Tony Dungy's Indianapolis Colts, meaning that no matter which team won, a black head coach would earn a Super Bowl victory for the first time. The spot featured African-American families watching and reacting to the game. So everybody was, and I'll leave the link to this as well. Everybody's sitting down and it's a big deal. And, you know, you saw like the church choir in the back, and the video ended with a little boy. I guess he's got to be like 5 or 6. And then he's sitting next to his grandfather. They showed a spot next to him, and his grandfather's patting him on the back and like, wow, this is what we worked so hard for. But this was 15 years ago. How could this right now be a big deal? No black coach was, and what makes this an even bigger smack in the face, no black coaches were even, they were not even considered this year. But because 2 black coordinators who you already know black folks can coach, now it's a big deal. So, and also there was another spot back in 2006, a Coca-Cola ad in the same game. It's called Especially Today, which celebrated that achievement. Okay, if it was such a big deal back then, how is it that since then, it's been 15 years, and over that 15 years, Mike Tomlin, obviously a head coach, Anthony Lynn, Mike Singletary, who sucked, Vance Joseph, who sucked, Jim Caldwell, okay, Leslie Frazier, Romeo Crennel, I can't even consider him. He's like a fill-in. Anytime a coach gets fired, he's basically there to fill it in, because I can't even count him. Herm Edwards, who was pretty decent. Brian Flores, who seems to be good. Denny Green, who in my opinion is legendary. Hugh Jackson, who was horrible. Marvin Lewis, who had a bit of a run. Todd Bowles, who was a brutal head coach. But 15 years, and you had only 13 black coaches over those 15 years. Tons of coaches were fired over the years. See, you really should have, and it's never going to happen, you should have, in the NFL, half the coaches should be black. And when I say black, I mean Mike Tomlin black, Anthony Lynn black. Okay? But now they're people of color. So now, I'm not throwing any shade on Ron Rivera either. Ron Rivera, he be considered minority. Ron Rivera is Mexican and Puerto Rican. All right? Good coach, but, and also I've told you in the last video about Robert Saleh, an Arab. But 13, you had, this is supposed to be the big win for black coaches, but you had only 13 black coaches over 15 years. So the article continues. All right, just going back to the undefeated article, it said, for coordinators Leftwich and Bowles delivered virtual performances in the Super Bowl that should elevate them to the top of the list during the next cycle. Considering the owner's ongoing aversion to fully embrace exclusive hiring for their top-run coaching positions, however, it's fair for one to wonder whether owners will choose to ignore what they achieved. Can you believe that? 15 years. All right? And if you're counting the Rooney Rule was started in 2003, 18 years. Goodness knows it's happened before. Just ask the Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy, which, and now I guess he's considered a bum now after this bad performance in the Super Bowl, right? Which wasn't his fault, but that's another story. But it continues. At the very least, Bowles said the Buccaneers' overall performance on the game's biggest stage shows that Arians hires people who knows what they're doing. And when it comes to black assistants, that point can't be driven home enough. And here's what Bowles says, which just, It shows that we're good at our jobs, and it gives younger people inspiration, hopefully to see us as coaches and to see that we can be one of these type of people, head coaches, if we put our mind to it, that anything is possible. Again, 15 years after you had two black head coaches in the Super Bowl. Then it says on Zoom calls with reporters after their work was finished, Tampa Bay players, one after another, praised Leftwich and Bowles as much for their leadership as men as their ability to coach. I just get stuck every time they say their ability to coach. How could you at this stage in the game still question the ability of black people? Understand, the reason that white coaches are seen, they're not better than black coaches. They just have more opportunity. That's it. It's not that they're better, they have more opportunities. And even with less opportunities, with the coaches, black coaches still have a record of over 500. They still have a winning record overall in the NFL. So it says, despite being led by an outstanding head coach and the greatest passer of all time, Tampa Bay wouldn't be on top of the mountain without Leftwich and Bowles, they said. Leftwich and Bowles are coaches. They're teachers. They're leaders of men. And after doing their parts to help the Buccaneers dispatch the gifted Chiefs and end the NFL season, they're also Super Bowl champions. NFL owners, are you paying attention? End of article. Again, this is from the undefeated Todd Bowles and Byron Leftwich Super Bowl victory, a big win for black coaches, written by Jason Reed. Folks, this is just another example of black men just, it's like we're running in circles. It's like we're running in circles here. All right? 15 years in a year where you didn't even consider a black coach. And now 2 assistants in a Super Bowl. And you're talking about, well, now they see we can do it. Have you ever, played catch with your 2 or 3-year-old and he happens to catch the ball? Yeah, all right, that's it. Or they happen to say a word, Dada, that's right, he can do it. It's like they still see us as kids. And we're jumping around saying, yeah, you know what? Look at us. You see, we can coach. We can communicate. We know how to draw up plays. It's ridiculous, guys. So, yeah, man, I mean, this is why you gotta continue to watch pop culture and watch sports and what have you, and forget about the conscious a lot of these conscious snobs who try to shame you because you watch this stuff. I mean, basically, you watch this stuff to really look and see how they work on you on every aspect of society. All right? And it's unfortunate. And again, listen, congratulations to those brothers. And like I said, I still wouldn't have voted for Tampa Bay. I mean, even though they got a lot of dogs in their team, I still wouldn't have wouldn't have rooted for them. But listen, congratulations to Bowles and Leftwich, and still fuck Tom Brady all day, and no, he's not the GOAT, and Jim Brown is still the GOAT, and I don't care if Brady wins 10 more championships, and it doesn't matter to me. All right, I mean, once dude cheated in the beginning and whatever, but and yeah, I'm hating, so fuck it, but. Yeah, man, and that's all I had to say on this. And check out the articles, and peace, and like, share, subscribe, and Cash App. You know what it is. Big up in yourself.